What up, everybody? Power Season 1, Episode 1. Ghost was across the street looking at Club Truth after opening night, reflecting on everything he went through to get to that point, when he was interrupted by Tommy talking about the robbery that happened earlier in the evening. This conversation led back to Lobos, who Ghost and Tommy had only been working for 6 months at the time, and whether to tell him or not about getting robbed. This conversation also led to Ghost telling Tommy that Lobos was fucking his own sister. We got to get him his money. This statement is very important to keep in mind throughout the video. Enrique Marciano, who played Lobos, also said on an interview on the Crew Has It podcast with Michael Rainey Jr. and Gianni Paulo that Lobos was not gay, that he fucked both men and women, that Lobos felt like he was above rules or the law and just did whatever he wanted to do. I started off saying this because when I made a video during Force Season 2 talking about how Lobos is Miguel and Mireya's father, the two biggest arguments that I got was that Lobos couldn't be their father because he was gay or because he wasn't old enough to be their father. But the fact that Lobos was fucking his sister, as said by Ghost in Power Episode 1 Season 1, explains both of these questions. Lobos got his sister pregnant and had kids with her, and those kids are Miguel and Mireya. And he probably wasn't very old, likely in his early teens when this happened, and that's why he looks more like an older brother to Miguel than a father. Also keep in mind that Lobos was on Power 10 years ago, so the actors also had a decade to age compared to what Miguel looks like in 2024. And don't be getting mad at me about this storyline. I'm simply repeating what came out the mouth of James St. Patrick himself. And how do you think Ghost and Tommy were privy to this knowledge that Lobos was so crazy that he was fucking his own sister? This is most likely because everybody knows about this because it resulted in 2 children. Then keep in mind that Miguel also has a strange obsession over his sister Mireya, to the point he killed one of her ex-boyfriends from the past. He broke the operating hand of the doctor Mireya was dating. Then when he found out that she was dating Tommy, he abducted her himself because he's not allowed to touch Tommy because of the agreement with Che. Miguel's obsession with his sister is reminiscent to Tony Montana's obsession with his sister Gina, or in the Power universe, the story Ghost told about Lobos and his sister. For Season 2, we got our introduction to the Garcia family, and the Easter eggs were laid all season about their connection to Felipe Lobos. And before I move forward, let me address the name difference of Felipe Lobos and the Garcia family. This is because Lobos is not Felipe's real last name. Lobos is Spanish for the word wolf in English, meaning Lobos was just Felipe's nickname, savage, and very fitting for his personality and lifestyle also. Felipe's last name was never actually said on Power. He was simply referred to by his nickname, Lobos. In Force Season 2, Episode 5, some kids shot up a diner gunning for Diamond when a young lady was shot and ended up at the hospital that Mireya works at. This girl told Mireya to tell her father Felipe that she loves him in the case she didn't survive. This led to Mireya talking to Dr. Kendall, who was her boyfriend at the time, and telling him the story and how she felt connected to the girl because her father was named Felipe, and that was also the name of Mireya's father. In Episode 8, at Che's daughter's quinceañera, Che was talking to Miguel's grandmother, and it was mentioned by Che that she did a fine job raising Felipe, then Miguel, and Mireya, basically indicating that Miguel and Mireya were raised by their grandmother. Their father Felipe was around, but might have been too young to raise them, and there was no actual mother in the picture. The reason why there was no mother in the picture, and there has never been any kind of talk about her, either is because she probably ran away at a young age to get away from Felipe, or might have even died at childbirth with Mireya because she was so young. But I would bet that Miguel and Mireya don't know that their mama is also their auntie, Out of all the lies that parents have told to their children in the Power universe, this is definitely one that is justified to tell, because those children didn't need to know that their daddy was also their uncle. And yes, I do realize that there are thousands of Felipes in Mexico, and their father could be any one of them. But at the same time, this being television, this most likely is not just a coincidence that all these things line up. Miguel's grandmother also told a story about how her husband used to be the most feared and most dangerous drug dealer in all of Mexico, but got complacent and started to trust the wrong people, and they eventually cut out his eyes and killed him. This confirms that Miguel and Mireya's grandfather was in the game and also a top dog during his time. And we also know that Lobos' father was in the game, because when Ghost told Lobos that he took Rolla out himself because he was a close friend, Lobos replied, "Bravo, Ghost. Old school, like my father's generation." Another clue pointing in the direction that Lobos' father and Miguel's grandfather could be the same person. And when her husband was killed, Abuelita fled to the United States. And either though Lobos ran the Mexican cartel, we can also confirm that he grew up in the States, because it was said by Cooper Sachs that Lobos attended Wharton Business School. So I believe that Lobos was raised in the States and taught the game by his mother. Then when he got old enough, he returned back to Mexico and killed all his father's enemies, earning the nickname Wolf and rising to the top of the game. Now in present time in Chicago, Tommy's tried love again with Mireya, who when he met her, it was almost like love at first sight. Because Diamond tried to warn him, but it was almost like Tommy just couldn't help himself. And Tommy and Mireya thought they were keeping their relationship a secret until Gennard got a picture of Tommy kissing Mireya outside of his loft, and eventually sent it to Miguel in episode 10, who then abducted Mireya just as her and Tommy were about to leave the country to go to Barcelona. It has been said that in season 3, we'll get to see a side of Tommy Egan that we thought we would never see before. I believe this is Tommy finally coming to the same realization that Ghost had all along, that he needs to get out the life. Likely this will be a result of Tommy breaking all of Che's rules and feeling like Mireya is worth fighting for. Because Joseph Sikora also recently shared some fan art on Twitter with him and Mireya with the caption that says, "She looks like she's worth fighting for to me." So I think there's a chance that Tommy might go to war with everyone in season 3, taking out half of Chicago's criminal underworld in the process, and also trying to get out the game, while also trying to evade law enforcement at the same time. And Tommy will succeed where it's just him and Mireya about to have a happy ending. But Mireya somehow finds out that Tommy was involved in killing her beloved father, who she loved so much, Felipe. And because of that, Mireya will take Tommy's life on the final scene of Force. The funny thing is, the very first time that Tommy slept with Mireya, none other than Holly showed up to Tommy in a dream and warned him about Mireya. Could this be symbolic of how Tommy took Holly's life, that Mireya will take Tommy's life? And what if she finds out she's pregnant afterwards? And yes, I do know that it's been said over and over again that Tommy's journey will continue after Force. My question is, why would they spoil that Tommy's going to survive the final season of Force when they didn't let us know that Tariq or any other character from Book 2's journey would continue? That's because I think Tommy's story will now continue on Origins, as his story on this current timeline will conclude with his death after being shot by Mireya. And then we could also possibly see Mireya getting locked up as a result and finding out she's pregnant from jail. Something that made me consider that Tommy would die at the end of Force is one of the posts I saw on one of the final days of filming of the final season of Force that said, "Y'all ready to take the last ride with Uncle Tommy?" Notice that the tone has changed a little as well from the story continues to ready to take the last ride with Tommy. And of course, this could simply mean the last ride on Book 4 Force or his last ride in Chicago. But if Tommy is killed at the end of Force, I think having Lobo's daughter avenging his death would be the perfect ending for Tommy. Then this would also set the stage for the Lobos spinoff that would run concurrent with Power Origins. The same interview that I mentioned at the beginning of this video with Enrique Marciano, who played Lobos on the Crew Has It podcast, also said they initially talked about giving Lobos' character a prequel. And like I've said so many times about the Tate spinoff, delay does not always mean denied. And like I believe there's a Tate spinoff coming soon, I also think there will be a Lobos prequel, especially now that we've been introduced to his family, and we know that he ends up getting killed by Ghost, and his daughter takes out Tommy. The Lobos spinoff would run concurrent with Origins all the way until the first episode of Power Season 1, where Ghost opens up truth. This would explain the full story from both sides up until the point that they met and started working together. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.